guys on a tour of the loft upstairs, and I showed you guys this. Well, you can't see it in the picture. Hang on. Showed you guys the wane pump. I decided to bring it down and pull it apart and go through it and just clean it all up and get it ready for install. Should the time come, then I'll seal it up good. But there's really not a whole lot to these. You've got your housing. Motor mounts to this side. Squirrel cage is attached to the motor. Then you have a drive coupler that goes between the motor and your pump, like that. The big end for the motor, small end for the pump. And this actually blew up on me. I just happened to remember it when I took it apart. I was like, oh yeah, I made that part. This is just a piece of electrical conduit that I heated up and affixed these two ends to, because the one that was in there disintegrated. And it worked for years like that, and I forgot all about that. But that's just a piece of electrical conduit. So, like I say, when I say necessity is the mother of invention, I haven't been doing this for just a day or two. I'm doing it for a long time. But we'll go ahead and flip the motor on so you can see the motor's runs good and quiet, nice and quiet, and this runs good and true. I remember putting it between two life centers and heating up the center of it to get it to relax itself, and I spun it while it was cooling down to keep it centered and concentric. And then of course this end just goes on, and they're both D-type. They've just got both have a slot in them, and that goes right in there like that. Assembled, and this is going to be kind of tricky, but I'll go ahead and give it a shot here. Assembled, it's like that. And then when you turn it on, the motor turns your squirrel cage and your pump at the same time. I'm going to hold the pump, keep things on. I don't know if you saw that or not, but it blew some oil out of there. Old, yucky, nasty oil. It's been a long time since this thing's run. And all I did, I pulled everything off and then just took some compression fittings, just put a little bit of pipe tape over them, just to keep any critters or anything from getting inside, keep from contaminating the inside of the pump. And I did that here and did it here so that I can store the pump. And I like this one. It's got the replaceable filter and it's a one-way, so it's also a check valve, which is kind of nice. The lines are okay. I mean, I could reuse these lines if I had to. The pickup tube's fine. The pickup tube does not have a check valve in the bottom of it, but that's fine. These things like to prime themselves pretty easy anyway, even if they're ran dry. But in the event that you do need to prime them, you take your igniter, flip your igniter over so that it won't make contact and won't try to light it. You just open this leader valve here and you run it until you get a steady stream of fluid out. Get a steady stream of fluid out, lock that down. That purges this head, the pump head. Then you can put your igniter back over the top, fire it up, and you're off and running to the races. I'll go ahead and show you guys the orifice in the end here. See a little shiny bit of silver. It's really, really dirty because I used to run some junk through it, and plus this nozzle does need replaced. It has a really odd spray pattern. It wants to blow to one side, and all that did was just burned out the burn chamber in that. But that's pretty much it. You got your motor, your pump, your body, your electrodes. I don't know if you guys saw those electrodes very well or not. There we we go. Now it's quieter. You guys can see those electrodes there. That's where your spark jumps across and ignites your fluid, atomized fluid when it comes out. But see this little chunk right here, that right there? That's what I was creating an awful lot of soot. I didn't have my air ratio correct on this. You can see these air veins. These are adjustable. As a novice with these things, didn't know a whole lot about them, and as a result, I mean, it lasted for years, but as a result, it definitely burned out prematurely. And I say prematurely to a machine that's a heater that's from the 1970s, but there are still oil furnaces and boiler furnaces that are oil injected that have been running for 50 plus years. There's really not a whole lot to them. And I failed miserably at regular maintenance. So that was the main reason why I had an issue. But I've been watching up on some YouTuber videos, and I've seen a lot of them on the 3450 RPM. Very few on, I think this is 1750. 1725 RPM. This is a slow rotating pump. And I'm not sure what the other two are. I'll have to look at them and see. But this is a slow rotating pump compared to the ones of today, the Beckett's and the like. Now, if I wanted to, I could get a Beckett pump and mount it to one of these salamanders with no issues at all. The only thing that I have to watch is my spacing going into my heat tube. This particular one has no sleeve. It's just pre-measured, predetermined how deep this goes into the burn chamber. And if you guys look, you can actually see right here. That's all the further it goes into the burn chamber. Meets up just about flush with the end of the burn chamber. And I just finished adjusting. That's why I said it wasn't really video worthy earlier. But I went through and adjusted the other two heaters to get them to the optimal burn. You don't want any sparks or anything like that thrown out. You don't want too little bit of air where you're suffocating the flame. And there's a sweet balance in a particular color of flame and pattern of flame that you're looking for. And these valves are available in a plethora, a wide variety, these nozzles rather, a wide variety of gallons per hour and angle patterns. So, you know, you can have a 0.75 gallon per hour or 0.70 gallon per hour with a 60 degree, 45 degree, 80 degree, depending on what the size of your burn chamber is and what kind of burn you're looking for. And then, of course, the pump itself is adjustable. This particular one, the adjustment screw is right here, and you can adjust. These are supposed to be set at 100 psi. I have seen oil furnace technicians change the jets around to get them to run more efficiently and use less fuel and burn more efficiently. I've seen them switch out the nozzles, not necessarily the angles, but the gallons per hour on the nozzles, and each of them has their own specific pressure. So I've seen these guys run these furnaces as low as 75 psi and as high as 150 psi, and then swap your nozzles out to get an optimum burn with the optimum efficiency, 75-76% efficiency on the burn, with your best burn chamber temperatures, your least amount of lost CO or lost O2, you know, your lowest O2 numbers, your lowest CO2 numbers, and no soot. I mean, there is a formula to getting it all right, but with these heaters here, these two that I've got, they're pretty much just like a boiler heater, an oil heater, or a house oil furnace. essentially the exact same thing. In fact, the three that I have, this is the highest BTU at, if I remember right, this one's 125,000 BTU, and the other two are 110,000 BTU. Most home units are 60 to 90, but there's a lot more involved there with ductwork and the size of the burn chamber, and there's just a lot of different things. But before I start, talking out my ass, because I'm not, super up on exactly what's going on. Let's see, we got a tag here. I'm just rubbing it off. What do we got? UL, commercial standard, CS 75, 75 PSI, oil burner clockwise rotation for use with Group 1 or 2 primary safety controls. Blah, blah, blah. And this is the one that has a safety control. Let me get the box. It's the burnout box. This box has a reset. If there is a no flame, if it senses a no flame, it's got the little eye that sits right down in this groove. And it's inside the box, inside the box here. But if it senses no flame or flame out, then this reset will pop out and it'll just shut the whole furnace down. Everything but the circulating, or not the circulating fan, but the blower fan. So, but anyway, they're pretty much bulletproof. Still readily available. All the parts are still readily available. In fact, I am probably going to go ahead and order the correct coupler here, just so that I've got it on hand should I need it. It should play. The two that are in the two good oil furnaces should play fine together, but and then I also looked up the igniter boxes. I said I wanted to get a spare igniter box. This one did not have an igniter box because the igniter box that was on my nice Ranch or Farm King, my dumb ass burned it up because it does not have this safety. If it doesn't see the fire, it kicks it out. So that's why I want to put this on the one that I use most often. And which one am I going to use most often? I'm not sure yet. But in either way, Honeywell makes a unit that you can put on these that you can actually go in and program your purge mode, your flame out, your all your parameters to make it as safe as a home furnace. And they're not all that expensive, so I may do some experimenting and get something like that for this. But anyway, that's what Zippo's doing out here in the shop today, besides giving you guys that little bit of a tour on what was going on up in the loft and how I'm going to close things in and whatnot. So I've babbled on long enough about this heater. Do not take anything I've said here to heart. I am not an HVAC guy. I learn just like anybody else wants to learn something. I get online, I research it, I study it, and I got online yesterday and spent about an hour and a half watching, researching, and learning about these heaters so that I could come out today, get my air mixture set right, my pressures set right, and pretty much just get them tuned up, excuse me, and know what I need to do to tune them up. So anyway, long enough babble. This is Zippo. Later. Out. Alright gang, before I plug in the SD card and upload this video, I wanted to show you guys that steel stick that I used to repair that motor on the Farm King. That's a magnet. And that's the steel stick. It's actually magnetic. So there is steel in that steel stick. Pretty neat. I busted the nail out of it. There was no pulling it out. That was that bit that I dropped down on the fan. But anyway, that's it. Just wanted to show you guys. That steel stick is actually metal. Later.